So, if this is the case, then we have to understand then what does jihad mean? When this was the commandment in Meccan period where your resistance against oppression was prohibited and you are not allowed to raise the arms. So what was the meaning of jihad in Quran, and what does the same meaning will continue till today? So jihad has, as far as its meanings are concerned, it has 5 dimensions of its meaning. The first meaning, and that is the greatest of the jihad actions, the great jihad, the biggest jihad, it has spiritual dimension. Jihad has a spiritual dimension. It is known as jihad bin nafs, and that is your struggle for self-purification. It is a fight against your evil wishes of your lower self, to purify your inner self, to make a person a good moral and ethical personality, who could work for the sake of Allah, who could get rid of arrogance, of greed, of lies, of aggression, aggressive attitudes, negative propensities, and who could work for the betterment of humanity and the society, and for himself too. This is purely spiritual dimension, no link with arms. Second dimension of its meaning is intellectual dimension, academic and intellectual. In intellectual dimension of jihad, the word ijtihad has emerged. And ijtihad, and mujtahid is a scholar, is a great jurist, an expert of juristic sciences who can derive and deduct the legal values and meanings from the old bases, and who can apply according to the changing and newly emerging situations of modern times. So mujtahid and ijtihad from jihad means connecting the old with the past with the future through academic and intellectual and juristic efforts, purely an academic and juristic work. It is jihad bil ilm and jihad bil fiqh. Third is social dimension, and this is jihad bil amal. This can be political, this can be social, this can be cultural, this can be educational. Anyway, this is for the social reforms of the society, to purify the society from social evils, to eradicate the corruption from the society and all kind of evil attitudes of human behavior, individually at first level and collectively at this third level. So these works of social reforms and political reforms, democratic struggles, political struggles, peaceful struggles, all come within the range of ambit of jihad bil qawl, al-amr bil maroof wa nahy anil munkar, to promote the good and to abstain from evils. This is social dimension. Third is jihad bil mal. It is financial dimension of the word jihad, concept jihad. This is just an act of charity. And Quran has emphasized on particularly 2 areas of jihad. The first, jihad bin nafs, purification of self, lower self, spiritual one, and the socio-economic one, the financial. Most emphasis in Quran has been given on these 2. And there is a full-fledged surah, a chapter of Quran, which explains this concept. And it is said that even negation of act of charity is negation of deen, of wholesome of the deen. Spending the money to remove economic deadlock of the poor, spending your own economic resources to provide the facility to alleviate the poverty from the society, the work which is being done by the charitable organizations in the Western countries, the Muslim countries, by the UNO, whatever, to help humanity out and take it out from the financial crisis, for struggle for equitable distribution of wealth, and to provide them all facilities and privileges of the life as human beings. This is jihad. So Quran says, أَرَيْدَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُ الْيَتِيمَ وَلَا يَحُضُّ عَلَىٰ طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. Have you seen a person, O Holy Prophet, have you seen the person who totally rejects deen of Islam, the rejecter or nullifier of the deen? Have you seen that person? then Quran answers, the person who nullifies, the person who rejects the deen, religion of Islam, is the one who does not do anything for the betterment of orphans, who does not provide food to the orphans, who does not work to alleviate the poverty in the life of the poor, yatama and masakin, the orphans and the poor communities. Those people who do not work for their economic betterment and welfare, these are the people who are nullifier or rejecter of the faith. So this act of charity, jihad, this is jihad bil mal. This is one of the best jihads. And the fifth dimension is the defensive dimension. Fifth one. Only that is the defensive dimension, where if you are attacked, then there is a war of self-defense, a defensive war. As a student of law and as a humble student of international law, I can declare this fact with full confidence that as far as my studies throughout my life are concerned, I have not seen a minor difference between the definition of the lawful war or jihad or qital, just war, which is known as qital, according to Islam, and the definitions and conditions given by the UN Charter. It is exactly the same concept, same definition with same conditions. The only difference is the term, the word. The jihad or qital is the word in Arabic language, and we say just wars and lawful wars right from the time of Aristotle till today's UN Charter's time. Throughout the history, concept of just wars and lawful wars has been existing continuously in every era of human history. The same is the concept now, according to Islam. But this is the defensive dimension. When Holy Prophet ﷺ migrated to Medina, 2 verses were revealed in order to provide the permission of lawful self-defense war. Lawful and just defensive wars, 2 verses. First was revealed in first year of migration. So these are 2 where the commandments of fighting are available, the basic commandments. Remaining are addition to that, further explanation, further interpretation. They are further clauses, basic 2 articles which provide the permission of fighting. One is in Surah Al-Hajj, verse number 39, and chapter number 22. Chapter 22, verse 39. The words are, أُذِنَ لِلَّذِينَ يُقَاتَلُونَ بِأَنَّهُمْ ظُلِمُوا. It is stated that now the permission is granted to take up the arms and to fight those who have already imposed war on you, because you have been wronged, you have been oppressed, because an act of aggression has been committed to you. So now today the permission of armed resistance for your self-defense is given to you. This is the first verse. Look into the words. Uzina, permission is granted. Lillazina, only to those yuqataluna, against whom an aggression and war has been already imposed. And why? Bi'annahum zulimu, because they have been an act of aggression, an act of militancy, act of terrorism, act of killing, act of attack has been already committed on them. So now they can resist for their self-defense. This is the foundational article of jihad in the meaning of qital. I mean the self-defense, not the 4 meanings I have already explained. This was the first year of Hijrah, because the state had come into existence. This is a very interesting point which I would elaborate here, and maybe very few scholars would have mentioned this, but I have not seen in any book any scholar. This is a very significant point. Since when Holy Prophet was in Mecca, there was no Islamic state there. That's why nobody was allowed to stood up with for armed conflict, to resist with arms. When he migrated to Medina, Islamic State came into existence. He was head of the state through the constitution when he made the alliance with the Jewish tribes and their allies, and he was selected or appointed as the head of the state, and a constitution of Medina was given. As-Sahifa, first constitution. Since he was the head of the state and state was already in power, that's why standing up for resistance against the oppression was allowed and defensive war was allowed because state was already there. So this difference of Meccan and Medinan period explains the fact that in any case, even if it is defensive war, no person as individual, no community collectively, no organization, not a community, on their own they cannot even wage a defensive war. War is a privilege or prerogative or a lawful right of the state. No organization, no person has an authority or privilege to wage wars and declare its terroristic acts as jihad. So it was not done by Holy Prophet and his companions. How can it be legalized or it can be legitimate for organization existing nowadays, claiming their criminalistic and terroristic activities as jihad? This is totally against the teachings and the practice and conduct of Holy Prophet. Second verse was revealed, which is the foundational second article, foundational article of jihad in the meaning of qital, the word qital, lawful, just, defensive war. And that was again in Surah Al-Baqarah, this is Medinan chapter, verse number 190. Al-Baqarah chapter number is 2, verse number 190. Again we can ponder into the words. The words are waqatilu. Sometimes the people, they just take a few words from a verse. Sometimes they take of the verse out of the context and they use specific words for their own meanings. There may be some Muslim terrorists, or there may be some of the Western scholars or Orientalists who have not full grasp and comprehension on the subject. Both sides. So Quran says, وَقَاتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ الَّذِينَ يُقَاتِلُونَكُمْ وَلَا تَعْتَدُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُعْتَدِينَ. This is the second foundation, 2 verses. Quran says this was revealed in 7th year of migration. It means now already 20 years had passed after the promulgation of Islam and after the announcement of his prophethood and after the starting of the commencement of revelation of Quran. 13 years of Meccan, 7 years of Medinan period. 20 years had passed when the command of defensive war was revealed. Only 3 years were left of Holy Prophet's life. Command for defensive war. And this was revealed with a particular historical context when the Treaty of Peace was breached by the Meccans. Only as a result of the breach of Treaty of Peace, Treaty of Hudaybiyah, which was a 10 years agreement of no war, 10 years no war pact was done and signed by the Meccans and Medinans by Holy Prophet. And the Meccans breached that Treaty of Peace within 1 year. This was the historical background when war of defense was allowed for the Muslims as a state. And whenever there was a war of defense, it was fought by the state. It was between state to state. And another point very significant which we need to keep in our mind is that more than 60 wars or fights where the Medinan states or the Muslims, they participated in wars, but none of them was in advance. None of them was in offensive. All wars were fought against Medinan state and Prophet of Medina, mostly on the border of Medina, and always Holy Prophet of Islam and his companions and Muslim army was on defensive. The very first war of Badr was fought near Medina, he was on defensive. Second war in second year was fought on the border of Medina. Even now, Uhud is 2 years away from the Holy Mosque, city itself, downtown of Medina, on the border. Third war of trench was fought on the border of Medina when the Meccan army was about to enter into Medina and Holy Prophet and companions dug a trench to stop their entry.